Polipede works here. So before we get into anything, I just want to say there will be spoilers for Marineford and the majority of Wano. So if you aren't caught up, please catch up because it's a wild ride and I think you would enjoy. So a friend and I were talking recently about what Whitebeards Awakening probably was. And after doing a little research myself, I have come to the conclusion that this very well might be the case. So what I did know, however, after doing a little wiki diving, I didn't know what he does during Marineford is actually named. Like he actually has a cornucopia of attacks, like a lot of them. So we're going to go through them one by one until we get to the point of this video. So going down the list, we have Seaquake. Seaquake is the first thing we see Whitebeard do when he pulls up out of the pool in front of the Marines in Marineford on the Moby Dick. The coating pops off, everyone's amazed, yada yada. It's really neat, but he cracks the air, right? Takes that pose, the big studly man pose. He punches the air with both fists, the air cracks, and then two tsunamis are summoned after the vibration cracks go through most of the landscape. But yes, two tsunamis are summoned by the aftershock. Then those tsunamis are frozen by Kuzan. I think this is also the ability you see him use most of the time, like when he's frozen by Kuzan later on and he just breaks out of the ice, or when Roger is poaching Odin in Odin flashback, Whitebeard gets kind of testy and quakes the entire sea around where the two crews are chilling at. Okay, then the more focused attack version of the Seaquake is called the Severe Earthquake, which is just a simple punch forward into a target using the same technique as the Seaquake. So a sort of wild shockwave but pressed against an opponent. Then we start getting into the meat and potatoes of our topic today. The next attack is called the Hypocenter Attack. A hypocenter is the underground origin point of a earthquake. So it's an actual real thing, which is different from an epicenter where you actually feel the earthquake where you're standing. So this takes the form in One Piece in the Tremor Fruits toolkit as a quake bubble, as most of the community has dubbed it as. This quake bubble is the most devastating technique I think we see Whitebeard use, because he uses most of the time because it's focused, is direct, and it's effective. This quake bubble, this Hypocenter Attack, has a variant called the Helmet Splitter. The Helmet Splitter is just Whitebeard choke slamming somebody with the quake bubble around their head, and he breaks their headgear and their skull. So yes, that's the Helmet Splitter. Now, the ultimate attack is called Island Shaking, which is basically where Whitebeard just grabs the atmosphere and pulls the air around himself, which causes just a island-wide tremor. That's sort of like the ultimate attack, but not the point of the video. The point of the video is actually an attack that happens earlier in 566, which is called a word I cannot pronounce. I'll put the name on screen. This devastating attack is focused on his Bicento. And unlike the quake bubbles, this attack's depiction is wobbly. Like there's something ethereal about it. There's something different. What's interesting is that we've seen something like this before. Now, late in Wano, during the Onigashima portion of Wano, okay, during where Law and Kid are fighting Big Mom, both Paramecia fruit users, Law and Kid, awaken. Law's awakening, well, one of his awakened abilities, because there are technically two. One of them is called K-Room, dubbed in some communities as Kroom. Okay, K-Room has Law taking his rune and bestowing it into his blade. This is interesting because both Law and Newgate have never used their weapons as a point of power. Newgate especially. Newgate, for the majority of Marineford, is just punching dudes. With Law, he sets up a rune, and then the blade is just kind of used as a tool of influence in the room. It's never used as a point of power, like a generation point. So in both cases, both Dofru users are using their weapon as a point of power by bestowing their respective abilities to their weapon. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying characters that have these sort of dome generation techniques, like say Rosiante or Bartolomeo, I think we're going to see that their awakened abilities are quite similar to Newgate and Law's, where the awakening is focused around the bestowment of their ability to an object, as opposed to turning the environment into something else or afflicting other things with like a weird aspect of their ability, like what Kid does. I think with these users, the users that create these force fields and domes, I believe their ability is going to be more about focus and bestowment as opposed to transmogrification or just randomly assigning aspects of their powers to other things, because I believe that's the beauty in both Law and Newgate. Because with Newgate, devastation comes easy, he just kind of quakes everything, but the Hypocenter Attack shows a tinge of discipline with Newgate, how you can just take all this destructive power and localize it to a specific area, and then when he bestows his Bicento with this, it's just an extension of this discipline. Same thing with Law. Law is already a very disciplined individual, because in order for his power to even work, he has to have some degree of knowing how to be a doctor. On top of that, in his past, we know he's studied under several members of the Don Quixote family, so he knows several different styles of combat. He knows how to sharpshoot, etc., etc. So this is just a further extension of his discipline, how he can usually take what's quite large, because rooms get big, they get island wide, or even like above island wide, they get pretty big. So to condense what's usually pretty massive down to something very small, and then taking that small thing and bestowing it onto something else, shows a degree of technique and discipline, which is the same thing that Whitebeard is showing by doing what he does with his Bicento, by bestowing such a destructive power to his weapon. And with that, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for watching. If you like stuff like this, please feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Polipede Works. And if you like what you see, I would appreciate your subscription. Thank you so much. See you next time.